Yeah, I'm very nice, very fine, thank you. Very sunny place. It's the summertime. I like it. Little bit warm, but it's all right. Today we are in Paris, in the French financial center, the Défense. I started to work in the financial industry here for a French company 10 years ago. My background basically is composed by science, computer, and mathematics. I study in Paris 6 at university. Then I have done the LKRI postgraduate, a postgraduate composed by probability in finance. Then I started working for a French bank, and I received an offer from a German bank in London. And yeah, I moved straight away to London for work, almost 8 years in the city. Basically, there is a lot of differences in terms of culture. The way of life in Paris is very good. However, in London, London is more driven. So if you are very ambitious, if you have some kind of hunger for success and so on, London is more challenging. So it's two different states of, I would say, of culture, and you have to have different mindset to succeed in these two environments. So this book, The Introduction to the Fair Pricing Theory, is a book about the changes in the mathematical finance. I have been working in this industry for many years, and after Lehman defaulted, changes has to be put in place. So basically, some adjustments have been made to the former theory, the fair pricing theory. But I think we should go deeper and consider the fair pricing theory. Fear of what? Fear of the default, fear of the debt, fear of the margin call, fear of the liquidity, fear of the systemic risk. So there's new risk involved, and the former theory assumption are not enough, are not relevant enough. So we have to consider something else, a new alternative. This is what is about my book. What I have done as well is put some kind of analogy to our economical system as well. Yeah, I wrote the second one because the first one, the fair pricing theory, liquidity and credit adjustment, was for my peer. It was very technical. I would like to wake up the industry to the need for change, and dramatical change. The former theory, the fair pricing theory, is not relevant anymore. So now the main idea was to create some kind of discussion, consensus debate with my peers. And I realized, traveling over the world, in conferences and so on, that something was missing. There is some kind of ego involved. So I would like to help, the new graduates who want to enter into the industry to understand the new changes, and maybe to help the industry to move forward and to move far away from the fair pricing theory. Okay. The idea mainly is that give some kind of idea for people with a scientific background or a simple financial curiosity to first have an introduction to the mathematical finance. And the second point is to understand the new reality of these fields. Yeah, so I am talking about the consumer. I am talking about I will say normal people. What I mean by this is that there is this idea that everybody wants lower prices. Okay, but behind the lower prices, you made an implicit choice about competitiveness. So it's ultra-liberalism and so on, and there are many consequences. You cannot have one without the other. So now you have to make up your mind, because going to ultra-liberalism have huge consequences on the labor forces. Okay, so the lower prices are the fact of importing from cheapest country, let's say cheapest to produce country, goods or different products. And in the other hand, if the local industry want to be competitive, they have to reduce different things like salaries or social benefits and so on. So you cannot have one and the other. So at some point you have to make your choice. You cannot have a capitalist, ultra-liberal system and have your, let's say, lower prices without the inconvenience of the ultra-liberal and ultra-capitalist system. So you have to make up your mind what you really want. And there are alternatives. This is my point. There is an analogy between the changes in the mathematical finance and the changes in our economical system. But people have to realize in which state we are at the moment. Yeah. You should be able to find some kind of consensus and realize that even this cost of hedging is not related anymore to the fair value. So you have to realize that the fair value is not enough. So you have to add in top of it funding, liquidity adjustment, credit adjustment, but also risk appetite. It's quite new and old at the same time, but it's a new direction. It should be the direction forward, but we are in this type of system where in this triangle, people at the top don't want any changes, okay? But even if changes are needed for the community, okay? So for the sake of our industry, we should do the good move forward, and not trying to apply the old-fashioned way to price derivative in this new context. It's the same for our economical system. When you think about this, you have still a triangle, some kind of oligarchy. And when you want to think differently or to propose something new, you will have some kind of resistance, even if you found a better equilibrium. It's very common to the Nash game theory. So if you found the solution of the Nash game, so some kind of equilibrium for all the participants, some of them will be very reluctant because the old framework is beneficial to them. So they will not help you to find the equilibrium for everybody. If you are in the bottom, they will argue that your need for change is subjective to your situation, not of the entire community. So it's very common framework that you can retrieve in a lot of, let's say, bureaucratic field as well. So now people have to realize and hold the participant that the change is beneficial for the entire community, and not let some kind of oligarchy drive a new direction for the entire system. I am talking about the financial mathematics, right? We have seen over the past decade new regulatory rules inconsistent with rationality. We have seen accounting rules irrational regarding the reality. So what can we do? We have to propose. We have also to drive the direction of our field. And I hope with my book, regulators, accountants, and even people on top will see the need for change and for rationality. The main message I want to pass to my viewer reader is first as a reader, buy my book and read it. I am very open to comment, but what I would like us to do is recognize the state, the environment where they are living in. It is the first, I think, major step forward. So given this acknowledgement, be able to react, to act. What does it mean is that if you don't like the state where you are, you have to give your thinking, your set of mind, and try to find a way to change this environment. For instance, when you vote, when you don't vote, there is an implicit choice that you made. Don't expect the consequences of your vote to change if you vote for the same type of people. Be aware of the different alternatives. Create one. That's the main things I want to say. I have a lot of projects, I will say. The first one is some novels. Mr. Dawkins' Wish is already out in English. And I have been invited to promote two different projects. The first one is a social media called HRL, okay, and the second one is one called Aphrasia. It's about crowdfunding, an alternative way to fund different, let's say, projects. Yeah. That's it, and lot of books, I will say.